And it's going to deliver something. I have a feeling it's going to deliver something. It's going to be like, what happened?
I hope so.
What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So guys, channel membership is now live. Link is in the description and the first comment. Do check it out. That would really help support the channel. So let's start this video with the mutant Nick Walker, as he posted some new physique updates. And as far as I can remember, his waist never looked this good ever before. You guys all remember him guest posing last year at the Pittsburgh Pro, which was right before the New York Pro. And he got a lot of criticism and backlash because of his gut. Well, here we have a comparison of him doing the front double biceps from last year to this year, exactly 1 week out of the shoe. So his waist looks way better this time around and way more tapered down. And this is pretty much understandable. The New York Pro last year was probably one of the worst preps for Nick Walker of his entire career. And he's supposed to beat that look by a huge margin this time around. Now that front lat spread on the mutant, that is the one that's gonna get people talking a lot. Well, I do not know whether it is the perfect lighting or the way he's hitting that pose right now, or all the improvements that he has made in the past 1 year. This pose right now is just looking way better than ever before, because we have to keep in mind, this was Nick Walker's worst shot when he first came onto the scene. And I'm gonna go as far as saying this, that in this setup, that pose looks a bit static on the mutant. And remember, this is the pose that Nick is supposed to lose to both Derek and Martin, and that too by quite some margin. That kind of seems like it isn't gonna be the case at this year's Pittsburgh Pro. So we will see how he looks. In those comparisons, as we all know, he cannot beat both these guys in terms of the aesthetics and the shape department. But do you guys know what is the most surprising thing about the mutant right now? Milos, a guy who has always been a big advocate and very vocal that those more shapely guys, more aesthetic guys, they should have the upper hand and they should win. Well, Nick has been able to convince Milos to predict that Nick should win this upcoming Pittsburgh Pro.
I would give it to Nick, but I know that the judges will go for Derek, so I'm going to go with that direction.
Okay, so now, hold on.
I knew you were going to say
You have Nick winning. Why don't you put Nick in first? Okay, what the judges do.
Nick distinction. Then Nick wins, Derek second, Martin third, William Boniak fourth.
And Dennis James was on that same page with Milos Sarcev. Well, I think this argument is solely based on this idea that Derek most likely won't be able to peak 100% 2 times in 2 months. But do let me know what you guys think, and what are your expectations from Nick Walker this time around.
I tell you guys, this dude is going to prove everybody wrong again. And it's going to deliver something. I have a feeling it's going to deliver something. It's going to be like, what the happened?
I hope so.
So Good Vito just posted this sneak peek of his legs, and this has to be one of the most freaky updates that we have seen in a while. The only other guy who posted something like this, that was last year, and that was Velat, who is arguably one of the most freaky guy in the men's open right now. So Good Vito may be going through those fun leg workouts, as soon it will be the time to back off the training and reduce all kind of inflammations before stepping on this year's Pittsburgh Pro stage, the biggest stage for Good Vito's career so far. So later Good Vito also posted this front double biceps just a little over a week out, and that comparison of him and Nick Walker doing the front double in the most perfect lighting, and the way Vito's quads are looking right now, and his waistline super small, so aesthetic, so eye-pleasing. So all that combined together, that certainly stole the show here, and that proves that he can potentially be the best guys in the world, at the very least in some shots, like that front double biceps. And that shot, that looks so goddamn good on Vito. And I'm gonna say the lack of quad sweep on Nick's quads compared to Vito, that makes one hell of a difference in that overall shot in the favor of Good Vito. Now the thing is, we have so many great guys in this upcoming Pittsburgh Pro lineup, and yet no one is gonna touch Good Vito, especially in that area and in that particular shot. He might win this one against all the guys, including Derek and Martin. The fact is, Vito's quads, they are not just big. As we have seen with Rubel, he has crazy detail and separation, as well as those deep feathers, which kind of reminds us of the legend Jay Cutler. So the Good Vito that we saw at this past Arnold Brazil, that was good enough to have straight first place finish, and also secure his first pro win, and also the Olympia qualification for this year, which by the way was the main goal here. But if we are being totally honest here, people expected more from him at this past Arnold because he came back after 1 year. And I'm gonna say it's not all good Vito's fault. He never said that he's gonna give those top guys a serious run for their money. But the fact is the fans just created so much hype around him and they all want him to do extremely well. And now is his time to shine. So I believe Good Vito has 2 shots in which he can compare with any of these guys in this upcoming Pittsburgh Pro lineup. And that is the front double biceps and the abs and thigh shot. And his most muscular. That is also a very impressive one. But the question is, can he improve? And that too considerably in terms of his overall condition in 6 weeks time from the Arnold Brazil to this upcoming Pittsburgh Pro. So how did you guys rate Good Vito's physique and this update right now? So the judges asked Leandro Paris to bring more condition, more detail, more separation after this past Arnold Brazil. And that is exactly what he's gonna do in another 1 week time for this upcoming Pittsburgh Pro. And that is one badass shot by Leandro 8 days out. And I'm gonna say this guy is built like an absolute unit. And just go back 1.5 years to analyze that physique. The man has put in a lot of hard work during that long off season. And that certainly translated on the stage in terms of more size and more density and more thickness. So with another 6 weeks of dieting, he's gonna be a lot sharper compared to what we saw at the Arnold Brazil against Good Vito. So we saw a lot of experts in the industry who believed that the show that could have been a lot closer if Leandro was in a similar condition as Good Vito was. The fact is he has more cap delts and the man is very wide. He takes up a lot of space on the stage. And this is him right now, very depleted, and he's gonna look much better once they introduce some carbs back into his system. So we know it is a very difficult lineup for a guy like Leandro to get the judges to take notice of his physique. But on the flip side, it can certainly be very great for him if he comes in peeled and gets a comparison with all of those top guys if he can make into that first call out. So his rematch with Good Vito, that is the one we are all really looking forward to. Because Leandro had some great margin for improvements in these past 6 weeks. So the men's open bodybuilding, that has been so different lately. These guys are 260 plus pounds. And look at Leandro, executing that vacuum to absolute perfection. So Michael Krizo's condition at a week out of this year's Pittsburgh Pro looks so goddamn impressive. And I'm gonna say just out of this world. Even his back is looking better than ever, which I'm sure must have been his biggest point that he focused on in these past 6 months and ever since he started working with George Farrell. So Michael Krizo just doesn't get enough credit over his ability to bring an insane level of condition every single time he steps on the stage. And he legit is one of the most detailed physique in the pro bodybuilding circuit right now. So his biggest downside, that is his wide waistline and no significant glutes development, which just totally throws off his physique, especially in those back shots. The balance just isn't there. So this is the comeback show for Krizo. So normally we do not expect guys to look at their all-time best, especially after going through a shoulder surgery. But Krizo, I'm gonna say, is well on his way to surprise us all. I think the best Krizo that can place as high as top 4 at this upcoming Pittsburgh Pro, even with such a deep lineup. The kind of size that Krizo carries, that is gonna be so overwhelming for some guys in this year's Pittsburgh Pro lineup. So if we talk about individual body parts, Krizo has some of the best arms and shoulders in this lineup. So he's gonna be a real force, and no one should count him out. So the pursuit for this year's Olympia qualification for Krizo, that is gonna continue after this upcoming Pittsburgh Pro, as he's in for the New York Pro as well. And he's gonna continue to compete in all of these upcoming shows until he gets a win. Next up, we have another physique update by Blessing Avutibu. So this makes him anywhere between 5 to 6 weeks out because his plan is to do a show in the month of June, which means either Spain, Dubai, or Athlete Pro are on his list. So if there is somebody smart in Blessing's camp, they should definitely advise him to do China Pro, which is happening in the 3rd week of June, and on that same weekend as Dubai Pro. So there lies a very easy Olympia qualification for someone like Blessing. He needs more hamstrings, but overall, those quarter turns are looking extremely impressive, and the condition is also coming in very nicely. So the back width on Blessing has always been very impressive, but the size that he has added, this time around, the back looks a lot thicker and denser. Now we sincerely hope that all that time that Blessing took off, roughly 20 months, and all that effort that he put into this past off season, force feeding himself, going as high as 320 pounds, that is all worth it in the end. And that is gonna be the case if he shows up with much bigger quads and considerable size improvements in terms of his lower half. Because everyone knows that his fate lies on how balanced he looks, top to bottom, and how much size can he retain in his lower half. So will those legs retain all their volume when he drops the water? Because the last time when Blessing competed, that was Italy Pro back in 2023, and that was a horrible final stage look, especially in terms of how his quads looked, because his legs just totally deflated. But I still think George Farah in 2022, he brought the best out of Blessing. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video, and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.